Ladies and gentlemen, we've spoken before about the idea that there's a shift in the meta-narrative of Sefer Shmot and Sefer Bereshit, with Bereshit being all about family, a specific family, and we get to Shemot and we'll shift to the idea of nation building. Today, Parsha Vayishlach represents, if you will, a small step towards nation building. Because here we have Yaakov, who's about to meet his estranged brother Esav. Remember, they haven't seen each other for 20 years. And when he comes to meet his brother, recall the last time that they met, Esav said that he would follow after Yaakov until he was able to kill him. And here we are 20 years later. You know the story of Yaakov separating his two camps, sleeping overnight, wrestling an angel before he engages with his brother. I would suggest to you it's actually one of the most tense times and stories in the Torah. What's ironic is we have to think about the fact that when Rachel and Yaakov are here, you remember that Rivka sent him away and said, just go and stay with Laban for a little while. You know the story with the mixing of the wives. It's such a great story. And it sort of begs the question, right? Rivka sends away her boy and says, don't worry, we'll call after you and come get you. And here it is 20 years later, nobody's written a letter home. And the same is true if you think about it. It's really a very profound idea about communication, the importance thereof. You remember that Abraham is blessed with two sons, Yitzhak and Ishmael. Abraham sends away Ishmael at the bequest of his wife, and there's no conversation between them again, right? We have then that pattern is followed, as we see that Abraham actually ends up not speaking again to Yitzhak after Akedat Yitzhak. There's no communication according to the Torah between the father and the son. Now we have the next generation where Yaakov similarly hasn't been in touch with his father Yitzhak for some 20 years, even though the last time that Yaakov sees Yitzhak, Yitzhak says, oh, I'm about to die. Right? By the way, Yitzhak continues to live for about another 100 years. But we have here, though, is a pattern of lack of communication. And we'll see it foreshadows what's going to happen in the entire story of Yosef. We know that Yaakov is going to end up mourning for his son Yosef, who he thinks has been devoured by a savage beast. We know that Yosef comes to a position of prominence in Egypt, and again, never writes home. So it's really a question about what happens when people can and do get together. Today, we're going to be discussing a very heavy and serious topic a little bit later in the morning with regards to the situation in Eretz Yisrael, the situation in social media. But what I would like for us to hold on to, because I think this is what we do. What I would like us to think of is just stop and think the following. That it turns out that when Yaakov finally reunites with his brother, we read Vayichlach Kehu, Vayinasha Kehu, right? That he hugs him, kisses him, Esav. We read that Esav Vayaratz El Yaakov, that Esav actually runs to greet his brother. And again, very, very common. But in our day and age, when we're grappling with our relationships with our cousins, our brothers and sisters, humankind, I think Parsha Vayishlach may give us a little hope. The hope that with the proper preparation and with the proper actions, hopefully God willing, right? And we look at these pictures that break our hearts each and every day and the stories that you hear. And I think about those verbs, Vayichlach Vayinashtehu, to hug and to kiss. And you've probably seen on social media the reuniting of families and how painful that is to know that even when some of these families are reunited, there are still members of that very same family who are being held hostage. But I would like to hope that in the positive way that we talk about Judaism as uvaharta b'chayim, that we always choose life. That I would like to think and pray that God willing, b'mheira v'yameinu, speedily that in our days that we too should be in a position with all of humankind, our cousins, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, to be vaychamtehu, vaydashtehu, to hug and kiss in a world of peace. Can you hear us? So may that be God's will, and let us together say, Amen.